Hello and welcome back to the English Hustle podcast. I'm Alex, and this is my co-host, Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone. We're so happy you're here with us today.
Today, we are talking about common English phrases. These are short expressions that people use every day. They help us talk to each other in a friendly way.
Yes, Alex. For example, have you heard the phrase, break the ice? It means to start a conversation with someone new.
That's right, Maria. Did you know that break the ice comes from the old days when ships had to break through ice to move? It's an interesting story.
Wow, that's cool. Today, we will explain what these phrases mean and show you how to use them. We will make it simple and fun.
By the end of this episode, you will know the meanings of some common phrases, hear how they are used, and learn to say them correctly.
Yes, and we have a fun practice activity for you to try. Plus, we will answer some questions from our listeners.
So, whether you are just starting to learn English or want to get better, this episode is for you.
Let's get started with our first phrase. Ready, Alex?
Ready? Let's break the ice.
Great. Stay tuned, everyone. You're listening to the English Hustle podcast.
Segment 1. Phrase of the day.
Welcome back to the English Hustle podcast. Now, it's time for our phrase of the day. Today's phrase is break the ice.
Yes, break the ice is a phrase we use a lot. It means to start a conversation with someone you don't know well, to make everyone feel more comfortable.
Exactly, Maria. Let's look at some example sentences. First, you might hear someone say, "At the party, I tried to break the ice by telling a funny joke."
Or, the teacher broke the ice by asking everyone to share something interesting about themselves.
So, you can see that break the ice is used to make people feel more relaxed in social situations. You can use it when you meet new people or start a meeting.
Now, let's talk about where this phrase comes from. A long time ago, ships had to literally break the ice in the water to move forward. That's how the phrase started.
That's really interesting. So when we say break the ice, we're thinking about starting something new and making it easier to move forward.
Yes, and here's a tip. Use this phrase when you want to help people feel comfortable and start a conversation. For example, at a new job or meeting new classmates.
Let's practice together. Repeat after me. I tried to break the ice with a joke.
I tried to break the ice with a joke. Great job, everyone.
Remember, practicing these phrases will help you feel more confident when speaking English.
That's right. And that's our phrase of the day. Stay tuned for more tips and phrases to help you on your English learning journey.
Segment 2. Conversation practice.
Welcome back to the English Hustle podcast. Now, it's time for conversation practice. Maria and I will have a short dialogue using today's phrase, break the ice. Ready, Maria?
Absolutely, Alex. Let's get started.
Hi, Maria. Have you met our new colleague, John?
Not yet. I'm a bit nervous about starting a conversation.
Don't worry. Why don't you break the ice by asking about his weekend?
That's a good idea. I'll try that. Thanks, Alex.
No problem. Breaking the ice can make meeting new people much easier. All right, let's break down our dialogue. Maria, why did I suggest you break the ice?
You suggested it because I was nervous about starting a conversation with John, and asking about his weekend is a good way to make things more comfortable.
Exactly. It's a simple way to start a conversation and make everyone feel at ease. Now, let's practice the dialogue again, but slowly. Listen and repeat after us. Hi, Maria. Have you met our new colleague, John?
Not yet. I'm a bit nervous about starting a conversation.
Don't worry. Why don't you break the ice by asking about his weekend?
That's a good idea. I'll try that. Thanks, Alex.
No problem. Breaking the ice can make meeting new people much easier. Great job. Now let's talk about pronunciation. When you say break the ice, make sure to pronounce break clearly. It should sound like break, and ice should be pronounced like ISS. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. Break the ice.
Break the ice.
Perfect. Also, pay attention to intonation. When suggesting something like, why don't you break the ice by asking about his weekend? Your voice should go up a little at the end of the question.
That's right. Try to make your voice sound friendly and inviting.
Now, it's your turn, listeners. Practice this dialogue with a friend or even by yourself in front of a mirror. Remember, the more you practice, the more confident you will become.
And don't forget, you can use break the ice in many different situations. Keep practicing, and soon it will feel natural to use it.
Thank you for joining us in this conversation practice segment. You're doing great. Stay tuned for more fun and useful segments right here on the English Hustle podcast.
Segment 3. Listener questions and answers.
Welcome back to the English Hustle podcast. Now it's time for our Listener Q&A segment, where we answer your questions about common English phrases. Let's dive right in.
Our first question comes from Jane in New York. She asks, what does it mean when someone says they are under the weather?
Great question, Jane. Under the weather means that someone is feeling sick or unwell. For example, if I say, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, it means I'm not feeling well. Maybe I have a cold.
Exactly. It's a very common phrase, especially in casual conversations. You might hear someone say, I can't come to work today because I'm under the weather.
Thanks for your question, Jane. Our next question is from Tom in London. He asks, can you explain the phrase piece of cake and how to use it?
Piece of cake is another good one. It means something is very easy to do. For example, if someone asks, how was the exam? And you respond, it was a piece of cake. You mean that the exam was very easy.
Right, Maria. Here's another example. Fixing the car was a piece of cake for John because he's a mechanic. It shows that the task was simple for John because he has the right skills.
Remember, piece of cake is often used in informal settings. So, it's perfect for conversations with friends or family.
Great questions, everyone. We love hearing from you. If you have more questions about common English phrases, please send them our way.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Up next, we'll have a fun segment where we explore idioms related to weather. Stay tuned.
Segment 4. Phrase variations and synonyms.
Welcome back to the English Hustle podcast. In this segment, we'll talk about variations and synonyms for our phrase of the day, which is under the weather. Maria, what are some other ways to say someone is not feeling well?
Great question, Alex. One common variation is feeling ill. It's straightforward and can be used in both formal and informal situations. For example, I'm feeling ill today, so I might stay home.
Right. Another synonym is feeling unwell. It's similar to feeling ill, but a bit more formal. For instance, she called in because she was feeling unwell.
Feeling sick is another variation. It's very common in everyday conversation. You might say, I'm feeling sick after that meal.
That's a good one, Maria. Another phrase is under the weather, which we discussed earlier. It's more idiomatic and informal. You could say, I'm a bit under the weather today.
Absolutely. And there's also not feeling 100%, which is a more casual way to express that someone isn't at their best. For example, I'm not feeling 100% today, but I'll manage.
Let's break down the differences. Feeling ill and feeling unwell are quite similar and can be used in most contexts. Feeling sick is more casual and often used for more immediate temporary illness. Under the weather is informal and more idiomatic, often used when you don't want to specify what's wrong.
Exactly. And not feeling 100% is a casual, gentle way of saying you're not feeling your best, without emphasizing illness too strongly.
Let's give some examples to illustrate these differences. If you're writing a formal email, you might say, "I'm feeling ill and will not be able to attend the meeting." But if you're talking to a friend, you might say, "I'm not feeling 100% today."
For sure. Another example. In a casual setting, you might say, "I'm feeling sick after that ride." But in a more formal context, "She reported feeling unwell and left early."
These variations give you flexibility in how you express yourself depending on the situation. Understanding these subtle differences can help you sound more natural and appropriate in different contexts.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in to our phrase variations and synonyms segment. Up next, we'll wrap up today's episode with a quick review and some final tips. Stay with us.
Segment 5. Fun facts and trivia.
Welcome back to the English Hustle podcast. Now it's time for one of our favorite segments, Fun Facts and Trivia. Today we'll share some interesting trivia about English phrases and idioms.
Did you know that the phrase "under the weather" comes from maritime origins? Sailors used to say this when they felt seasick during storms. They would go below deck to avoid the bad weather. Hence, they were under the weather.
That's fascinating, Maria. Here's another fun one. The phrase, "break the ice." This idiom originally referred to breaking the ice to clear the way for ships to pass through frozen waters. Now it means to do or say something to relieve tension or get a conversation going.
And speaking of conversation starters, did you know the phrase "costs an arm and a leg" is believed to come from the world of art? Portrait painters in the 18th century would charge more to include a person's limbs in a painting. So, a full-body portrait would literally cost an arm and a leg.
That's so interesting. How about some unusual phrases from around the world? In Sweden, they say smörgåsbord, which literally means sandwich table. It's used to describe a buffet with a variety of foods, similar to how we might use a variety of options.
In Japan, there's a phrase neko nikoban, which translates to giving gold coins to a cat. It means offering something valuable to someone who doesn't appreciate it, similar to the English phrase casting pearls before swine.
These phrases show how language and culture are intertwined. It's amazing to see how different expressions capture unique aspects of life and history.
Absolutely. And that's a wrap for our fun facts and trivia segment. We hope you enjoyed these interesting tidbits about English phrases and idioms. Up next, we'll have a quick review and some final tips for you. Stay tuned.
Segment 6. Practice challenge.
Now, it's your turn to practice. Try using today's phrase, "break the ice," in your conversations this week. The best way to learn is by using new phrases as often as you can.
Here are a few practical exercises for you. First, think of a situation where you usually feel nervous, like meeting new colleagues or starting a conversation at a social event. Use "break the ice" to start those conversations smoothly. For example, you could say, "Let's break the ice with a fun fact about ourselves."
Another idea is to write a short story or dialogue using "break the ice." This helps reinforce the phrase in your mind. You could even practice with a friend or language partner by role-playing different scenarios. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the English Hustle podcast. Leave us a review and share your thoughts. It really helps us improve and reach more listeners.